Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzz.org being the music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And this is a very special moment here for the site because we finally have an independent music review going up on it. I mean, if you've been following the site for a while, we've dealt with over 100 to 150 independent acts from around the world. We even call ourselves the home of independent music, and we garner in about 5,000 visitors retrospectively per fortnight to these groups. And I think we're doing a great thing. I mean, we've got tons of independent reviews, tons of independent interviews and all that sort of great stuff, and now we're actually transitioning it to the YouTube channel. I think it's great, it's good news, and it's a step forward for this channel. It's where I want to go with it, because I think there's plenty of music reviewers out there that stick to the commercial type stuff, and I'd rather, give a chance to these groups, because I've been in tons of independent groups myself, and I think things like this, they add a little to their resume, and they're just a little confidence booster, I think. But that being said, I'm not always the nicest about independent music reviews. I've been nasty in the past, so should we just see how this one got on? And by this one, I mean Rockstar by Sick of the Riot. I mean, it came out 6 months ago, but it's technically their latest track. And I got into touch with the guys recently, and they all seem like a great bunch, so I'm really excited to do this review. Of course, I'd be putting this up on the site first, usually, but yeah, we're going through big transitional type stuff. If you want to see more about that, then click on our video called The WordPress Rant. It's got everything detailed there, and, we'll write this review up later on, maybe next week or in a fortnight's time. So anyways, let's dive into this review. And now, punk music in general, it's got to stir emotions, it's got to be aggressive. I mean, I've been in a punk group myself, and I've failed in a punk group myself, so I know what you need to have, and what you might be doing wrong and what might be hampering you. And I think this group definitely has the basis of a really good punk band, and quite a unique punk band, which is even harder to be, because punk music as a genre can be a little bit stale, and it could be a little bit predictable, whereas these guys, they surprised me multiple times throughout this song's runtime. The production is a little bit weak, but then it's independent music. I mean, it's 600 to a grand to record a single track nowadays, and if you're an independent act, it's a difficult time to try and raise that money. So I'm not going to really put too much blame on the production. Rather, I just say that the bass, with it being strummed, and it's quite frenetically strummed, you're going to have to add sort of like a deeper tone to it. You might have to lose a lot of the sort of note value and instead just go for like a wobbier type tone. The drums I could do with like a deeper kick and maybe a more cutting snare, and then the guitar just needs sort of to balance its high ends a bit better, because I think there's too much in the mid and low end here, and I prefer some high end just to get over that bass line. But the vocals are mixed, fairly decently, so I have no qualms there. But moving on to the musicality of this piece, and I never usually talk about musicality when it comes to a punk band, because usually it's kind of dire, but the musicality here is really surprisingly good. I was really impressed. I mean, it's a 4-minute long punk song, which in itself is like double the time of an average punk song, which is kind of crazy, really. But they use this runtime really well. I mean, from the 3-minute mark, maybe just before the 3-minute mark and onwards, you have like instrumental breakdown sections and instrumental bridges, which are really good to listen to, with solid riffs. I mean, riffs that are catchy and have been stuck in my head since my first listen of the track. And the vocalist has a really unique tone of voice, which I really like hearing as well. I think you give this guy, some better production quality, and he could really carry some songs. I mean, he's got a recognizable tone which stands him, uniquely in the genre, which is great to hear. And with, like I said, the proper riffs, and then you combine that with a bass line, which if it had some better production, you could have some more interesting bass lines, and then the drum sequences in this are fantastic. There are some brilliant fills, there's some decoration and really raw, impactful type sections, which I really enjoyed. So, like I said, if you combine all this together with some better production value, these guys could really shine and be really unique. I mean, punk as a genre at the moment is going for a really poppy stage. I mean, pop punk is dominating the whole punk thing, and that doesn't really make sense to me, really, because it's commercialized punk, that's just that's oxymoron in my opinion. It's a conflicting type statement. There's not really much room for like rootsy type punk, but these guys could be bringing that back. And then between these guys and Cold Summer, who are another punk group I reviewed fairly recently, I'm hearing some really good stuff from the punk scene at the moment, and really emerging through. And if you give these guys, as well as Cold Summer, a bit higher of a recording budget and some more mixing and mastering time, I think they could really shine, and I'm excited to see where they go from this track. I mean, they've got so much potential, like I said, and potential is a word here for me from this track. And I'm going to give it a rating here, and I usually give 2 ratings on the site, because you can't really rate it the same as every other piece of music usually. because situationally it's different to, and I mean, independent music in general is just different to generalized music because it's much more exploratory and everything's sort of put out there on the line because you're trying to prove everything you can to get that contract. So my G rating, which means general rating, so this is the comparison to every other act out there at the moment, and I'm leaning on about 6.5 out of 10 for a generalized rating. The reason why I'm saying that is just because production value. I mean, you compare it to the usual sort of scene at the moment. Production value for punk has sort of gone down a rockier type, proggier type stage where we got some really deep kicks and snares, and I'm beginning to enjoy that type of mixing. So I think it doesn't quite hold up to say that. But when it comes to I rating, I want to give this one like a 7.5. Nearly an 8 rating. I rating is independent music in comparison to all independent music that is currently being made. And I think again with some slightly higher production, this could be. I mean, this is definitely a contender for independent track of the week for me, and it could be at the end of the month. It could be a contender for independent track of the month, even though I know it came out quite a long time ago. But if you've read the ratings on this, or the rules, or rather on the site, you'll know it still qualifies for these awards. And I'm excited to see where this group goes next. I definitely recommend you give it a listen, and I'll see you around next time. Oh, bye bye.